What is up, everybody, and welcome to a weekend edition of the All-NBA Show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares, and I'm joined by the international man of mystery, always on the go, always working. Doesn't matter what hour it is, Marc Stein. Marc, how you doing?
Good. I'm just tweeting to everybody that we're live. Man, you know, that the show starts and the first thing I see is you and Legler. I'm like, man, that's a high bar I got to hit on a late Friday night. I got to live up to legs.
I know, man. It's tough to do. But we're going to have a great show because we bring you in. You always know what's going on around the league, and we have some big questions because I want to talk about Giannis, in this show and what we think is going to go on with him, some of the storylines around him in a very interesting offseason, as well as LeBron James, who's already, as he does every year, kind of teasing his retirement or his return to LA. I want to get Marc's thoughts on that. We'll talk a little bit about Coach Popovich retiring and what his new role will be. But we're going to open up by the game that just ended. The Rockets beating the Warriors 115-107. That's 2 in a row now. And the series is tied and will force a Game 7 on Sunday. First of all, the Rockets dominated Game 5. I mean, it was a no-show from the Warriors, I thought, and a dominant performance, a tough performance from the Rockets. And then you get Game 6 and you say, okay, it's going to be completely different. It was only different in terms of magnitude. It wasn't a 40-point, 30-point lead, but it's still, they controlled the game. They dominated it. So, Marc, this is 2 games in a row. Are you surprised by what you've seen in the bounce back from this Rockets team?
Yeah, I had this thing ending tonight, to be honest with you. And I think most people around the league thought when the Dubs went up 3-1. Coming into this series, I looked at this as the young Houston Rockets are going to playoffs university. And man, they have graduated to the master's program real quick because they showed ridiculous poise last night. And everybody's talking about Steven Adams and how his entree has changed it and the double bigs and all that stuff. But Fred VanVleet has been tremendous. And there's been so much talk about he makes so much money. The Rockets have to upgrade there. They can't have, he has played the veteran role on this team so well. And these last 3 games, shout out to the researcher extraordinaire, my pal in Toronto, Karthika Uthaya-Kumar. She dug this one up. 17 threes for Fred VanVleet in the last 3 games. No Rocket has ever made more in a 3-game playoff stretch. And if Freddie's making threes, they can keep more of the non-shooters on the floor who are causing Golden State problems because the Warriors are small. It's like the Lakers all over again. They are super small. But no, I'm guilty. I thought their experience would offset that in this series. And now they got to go back to Houston on a short turnaround. Look, I'm not saying they can't win in Houston. This series has been a roller coaster. So if the Warriors turn around now and win a Game 7, you wouldn't be shocked out of your chair.
Right.
But it ain't a fun assignment for the older team to have to now turn around and go win there. The Rockets are clearly feeling themselves because they heard all the talk. They knew everybody. It's not just me. Did you or Legs think that Houston was forcing a Game 7 when they went down 3-1? I didn't hear a lot of people. I didn't hear a lot of people proclaiming that chain of events.
Yeah, 100%. I don't even know if they're using the doubt. They're a young enough team. I don't know how much the doubt should fuel them. They're young. This is the first time being there. But to your point, this is these last one and the one we just watched, they're such great team wins because you're right. Fred VanVleet was incredible. Cool as a cucumber. By the way, 8 rebounds and 8 assists, filled up the entire stat sheet. Amen Thompson was incredible. His defense, Dylan Brooks, Alperen Şengün has been incredible in this series, 21, 14, 6, and 3, and just dominated his individual matchups on both ends, by the way. Not known for, necessarily being this elite defender, but his defense has been phenomenal. And then I love that you brought it up, Steven Adams. Let's look at this. Cavs, double big lineup. They're moving on. Wolves, double big lineup. They're moving on. OKC, double big lineup. They're moving on. And now you've got Houston, who is on the doorstep of, it's kind of the new thing, these two bigs. And I have to give Ime Udoka a ton of credit, because I don't know how many coaches in the NBA would have tried this, like in the regular season, the way that they did. And I don't know how many people would have identified and said, this is it. Two traditional centers, not a stretch four or this or that. Two true bigs. Let's put them together and let's just bully everyone. But honestly, that's the story of the series. The Warriors don't have an answer for the size when you put both of those guys on the court, and they're playing defense well enough to make up for it on the other end.
Yeah, I mean, I put the Warriors really in a similar category to the Lakers. That, again, I think it's not just me that's making me, I keep repeating that because it's making me feel better having, missed forecast this thing, is that I think a lot of us on the outside thought, okay, Lakers, Warriors, they have all this experience. They have guys who've gone so far in the playoffs. They'll overcome their team's lack of size. I was in LA when Rudy Gobert turned into Moses Malone in Game 5 and sent the Lakers home. And yes, now, I mean, the Warriors, they're small, they're super small. They're getting bullied by the Houston Bigs, and there's a lot of guys out there who did not want to shoot the ball tonight. I mean, that looked reluctant to go. Stephen Curry cannot do this by himself. I just can't believe also how flat Golden State looked. They just like this was their chance to finish this thing at home. I mean, it's got to be hugely deflating for them to know they had this chance to finish the series off. They already had to play one game without Butler in the series. Like, don't give this Houston team life. And yeah, Sunday night is going to be, it's going to be wild. 2 games, we got Game 7s now, Saturday and Sunday. And it's been a first round with a lot of blowouts, but it's also been a first round with a lot of good games. And I'm sure you've been giddy.
Well, I'm giddy, except for the other Game 7 has me a little bit nervous, as you know. But but Golden State, man,
I saw your guys last night too. In my I did an LA back-to-back. So.
Oh, were you there at the game for that one?
I was. That was my Intuit Dome debut.
All right, well, just to wrap up, because I'm going to ask you about that here in a second, but just to wrap up, the other thing, Steph Curry in the fourth quarter really kind of disappeared, and this series has been rough on him. He's had the breakout game. He had a monster game. I think it was Game 1, was it? Yeah, I think Game 1. But since then, he's been bottled up. I know he had 29 points. He took 23 shots to get there as a minus 11. To me, Game 7 here, the Warriors have had their back against the wall a lot. They've responded a lot for the last decade plus. This one, to me, there's no momentum for Steph. And that's the part of this that I think, if you're a Warriors fan, feels a little uncomfortable, is it's not like it's been a game or two. This whole series has been, he hasn't made the impact we're used to.
Well, I don't want to write them off because I am a longtime Warriors believer. And again, I don't like the way this is set up for them. I mean, for them on a short turnaround now to go to Houston and have to win a Game 7 on the road. I mean, the Rockets have all the momentum. They're certainly going to be fresher with all the youth on their team. But I wrote Houston off after going down 3-1, and it didn't go so well for me. So it's like I'm to the point with this series that no outcome would surprise me anymore. But the big thing here is this has just been all season long. There, around the league, you heard the Rockets are going to make a big move. The Rockets are going to, they're going no. And the consistent messaging out of Houston was, we're not going to make an in-season move. We want to see what this team can do in the playoffs, just like Oklahoma City last season with that group. And no matter what happens, Houston taking this to 7, whether they win or lose, I mean, they'll be crushed now if they don't finish this thing off at home. But for their front office, the team builders for going forward, they are so well set up with all these assets to make a major move or two in the future. But they're getting their guys such valuable experience. So, I mean, in a lot of ways, the Rockets have already won this series. Now they got to finish it off, but like the complexion, their whole outlook going from 3-1 to 3-3. I mean, it is just, you have to feel just worlds better if you're the Rockets about your present and your future, because
Yeah.
their guys have gained so much from this series.
Well, I like that point too, because there is something to how do young guys play in the playoffs? You want to see them get there. And if you look at it, I mean, Amen Thompson, phenomenal. Şengün, incredible. Jabari Smith has been great. I know that was maybe a question mark, but he's been great in these playoffs. Tari Eason's been great. So a lot of these guys are getting reps right now that if you want to pivot off of one of them, if that's the plan, and now let's consolidate and move forward, these guys are playoff tested, playoff proven in a way that I think is going to carry them quite a bit. So I love this Rockets team. I'm actually in love with them. I like the way they play. I like their toughness. I like when teams get weird and are willing to try to experiment with the game, and this double big lineup to me is an example of that. And I think they're going to win game 7. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think the Warriors should have shown something in these last 2 games if they had it in them. I think the Rockets are going to win this one, and I think that'd be a really, really cool way for this to go. Let's move on to the other game 7, though, which is tomorrow night, which is Clippers at Nuggets. Nuggets are favored by 1.5 on FanDuel here. So you were at the game in game 6. What stood out to you? I mean, it was your first time in Intuit Dome?
Yeah, so look, the Clippers was my first beat. So I was dying to go to Intuit Dome at least once this season. The Mavericks actually had a baseball series in April right before the Luka back in Dallas game. And so I was going to go on that trip and I had to cancel it because I was writing bazillions of words to prepare to kind of set the table for Luka's return to town. So I didn't end up going, and I'm so like this week I went to Wolves Lakers on Wednesday, totally expecting the Lakers to at least win a game 5 and force that thing back to Minnesota. And I saw the greatest game of Rudy Gobert's life. And then last night, I mean, the Nuggets really still could have stolen it. I mean, I lost track of how many layups were smoked, but I mean, the takeaway was Zubac.
I think 3.
Zubac was so good against Jokic, and I mean, I'm sure you have a much better catalog of Nuggets memories than me, but in games that I've been able to tune in and really lock in on the Nuggets, and I don't remember too many one-on-one defenders playing the kind of one-on-one defense we saw Zubac play against Jokic. I mean, now obviously there is some help there. I mean, it's not all like a one-on-one steel cage battle, but I mean, I think Jokic shot 1 for 8 in the second half when matched up against Zubac. I mean, that and multiple rejections. I mean, Zubac's progress, his improvement, just ridiculous. That guy has really, really taken multiple steps forward. So I expect Denver to win a game 7 at home. The Clippers should have already won this series with the opportunities they've squandered. So can the Nuggets? I mean,
I don't know about that. I always come back to that one and say Denver also lost in overtime in game 2. Denver feels like they should have won that game. They missed a dunk, a wide open dunk from Aaron Gordon, which has literally never happened. So this whole thing is, the series is close. I mean, these games have been separated by the tiniest of margins. And I just think both teams probably look at it and feel that they have, one play away from having already won the series, one play away from already have lost the series. And that's why I think this game 7 is going to be so great. Your point about Zubac, though, is correct. And it's not just this year. He's been statistically, one of the better Jokic defenders for the last several years. So if you just look at the numbers in one-on-one matchup, he's always rated the highest. And I don't think it's a coincidence. He's very disciplined. He's very smart. He anticipates. But
don't you think he's gotten even better? Like, I mean, he's
yeah, I think he's definitely ascending as a player. I also think he's in a great role. Like he is a guy, and I brought this up with Legs yesterday when we talked about this game. They were playing a lot of pick and roll offensively, and he was on the short roll, and he's getting a lot of points. He's scoring 20 points, every single night in the series. They mix it up and say, we're not going to run pick and roll. They're trapping those. We're going to let Harden ISO. He only scores 10 points. You think he cared? He's one of these guys that he can impact the game in so many different ways. And it's like, oh, okay, I don't need to be involved in offense. No problem. I'll lock in on rebounding. I'll lock in on defense. I'll lock in on screening. And he does it. And those types of players, when you're skilled enough to do a lot of things at a high level, but unselfish enough to selectively decide this is what the team needs, so I'll put all my energy here. Those are the most impressive players to me. And he fits that. And he's a heck of a defender.
I mean, look, I thought every series in the West apart from Thunder
Okay. Yeah.
Grizz was going 7. So clearly misfired on Wolves Lakers. I did not see that one ending in 5. But Nuggets Clippers, Rockets Warriors, I thought were going to be sensational, and they have been sensational. It's fitting that they're going 7. Obviously not great if you're a fan of these teams and you got to, you know, sit
The
through the
Nuggets are
nerves of
always
it.
in 7. Do you know this? They just only play 7-game series. I don't know why they can't get a series done sooner than that.
I mean, but like these are just two great matchups, and just again, like visiting with the Minnesota guys after they finished off the Lakers, but like Minnesota is such a confident team, but again, like they had to go 17-4 just to get the 6th seed. So
Yeah.
OKC, wire to wire, best team in the West. No, nobody can dispute that.
Yeah.
And they have been world class the way they mowed through I mean, but like everything, the pack in the West, and just getting to sit, like it is steel cage stuff, and I think we're in for a pretty interesting weekend with these 2 game 7s.
Well, the real winners of this are OKC and Minnesota. I mean, what an extended break for these two teams. They haven't had a break like this. It's longer than the All-Star break, I think, for OKC by the time they play from the last time they would have played. So it's getting so long that you almost wonder about the rust factor. But let's just run through real quickly these other series. Pacers, Cavs in the East. I think this one has the chance to be a very entertaining one. 2 phenomenal offenses that are fun to watch. A lot of passing, a lot of movement, a lot of shooting. Are you excited for this one?
Yes, look, I think we're destined for a Celtics Cavs final in the East, but like Indiana is dangerous. Since the calendar flipped to 2025, Indiana's been one of the 5 best teams in the league, and they're really playing with house money now. Now I know they went to the conference finals last year, and so they're probably thinking we got to at least match that, but the Cavs are going to be an overwhelming favorite in this series. So Indiana got through the Bucks, and like now I think they can almost, play looser because, they're going up against the top seed. Like this is going to be a tough assignment for Cleveland. Like
Yeah.
this has the potential to be a tougher series than people think, because I mean the Pacers, they've really found a good mix, and they've just got a good chemistry. And yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see, because all the pressure is on Cleveland. Like the Cavs have to at least make the conference finals to validate their regular season.
I think you're right.
If the Cavs go out to Boston, people are going to say, okay, the Celtics had the experience edge. This is the first year with the Cavs under Kenny Atkinson. Like a loss to the Celtics in the conference finals for Cleveland would be rationalized. A loss in the second round to Indiana. And again, people are not probably giving Indiana the credit they deserve. The Pacers are a really good team. Again, if you look at records since January 1st, this is one of the 5 best teams in the league, and we don't really talk about them that way. But there's a lot of pressure on the Cavs. The Cavs have to win this series. Like their season, like their regular season gets invalidated to a degree if they go out in round 2 to the number 4 seed. So I'm really interested to see kind of how Cleveland plays with that weight.
Cleveland was shaky a little bit in the first couple games of that series, but I mean, they won by 100 points in the next 2 combined. So I think that was, and in a weird way, I think it was important for them to get that, just to be like, okay, we've settled into the playoff rhythm and everything else. And the team clearly made it look easy in games 3 and 4. The other one, Knicks Celtics, you kind of referenced a little bit here. I also, same thing, expect the Celtics to control this, but the Celtics are starting to get banged up. And I think if there's one thing you look at here, very physical team, very, in the Knicks, and now you have some guys that are already starting to sort of limp around the court a little bit. So what's the intrigue factor for you here?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the worry with them, because it seems like all of their main guys have some kind of health issue they're dealing with. The Knicks, though, I am interested to see, it has flipped for them now. They're playing a Detroit team that's like this Houston team. Very little experience beyond the couple veterans they have. Nothing expected from the Pistons. And like, man, the Knicks it looked like they had blown game 6, and then Brunson rescues them and they escape. Like all the pressure was on the Knicks in that first round series. Now it flips. Like nobody, not nobody, but the Celtics are going to be overwhelming favorites. Most people are not picking New York. How much better can the Knicks play with that weight off them? But look, their style is so dependent on Jalen Brunson, who I absolutely love. I mean, I got to watch Jalen Brunson gets better every, we talked about Zubac. Jalen Brunson still gets better every single season somehow. But can a Brunson centric offense work against what the Celtics bring? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, both of these feel like the favorites are going to take it home, but both of the undercards have, or the underseeds have, a puncher's chance in a way that's compelling. So I do think that, the West has been fascinating. The East a little bit less so outside of that Detroit New York series, but I think it gets fascinating in this round, and that's why I'm excited. Let's take a little break here because we want to talk about Giannis's offseason, LeBron's offseason. We want to talk about Popovich. And they have some very interesting stuff that could happen to those organizations over the summer. So we're going to get Marc's insight on that on the other side. But first, Lucy Nicotine is 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free, available in pouches, gum, and our favorite, the Breakers. Breakers are pouches, but with a capsule of liquid flavor inside that helps saturate the pouch. Breakers are available in 4 milligram or 8 milligram. Our favorite flavors are mint, berry, citrus, and espresso. Pouches go all the way up to 12 milligrams, and if you're not a pouch guy or gal, Lucy Gum is available in 2 milligram, 4 milligram, or 6 milligram options. You can set yourself up with a subscription and get Lucy delivered straight to your door. No more weekly gas station trips. Level up your new nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/allNBA and use the promo code ALLNBA to get 20% off your first order. Lucy offers free shipping and has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. That's lucy.co and use the code ALLNBA to get 20% off and free shipping. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Also want to tell you about Vivid Seats. If you're here in Denver, really anywhere around the country, but if you're here in Denver and you want to go watch Game 7 tomorrow night at Ball Arena, we'll hop on Vivid Seats, see what you can find out. NBA playoffs are underway. There's no better time to be in the arena experiencing that playoff intensity in person. If you're trying to catch your team live this postseason, let me tell you guys about Vivid Seats. It's the best place to get your tickets for any live event. They have the best selection of games and seats, and every purchase is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee. Plus, Vivid Seats is the only ticket marketplace that rewards you for every purchase. So download the Vivid Seats app and start earning rewards towards free tickets. New Vivid Seats users who use the promo code ALLNBA30 will receive $30 off their first purchase of $300 or more. Once again, click the link in the description of the show and go to vividseats.com or download the Vivid Seats app and use the promo code ALLNBA30 for $30 off your first purchase of $300 or more. When it comes to playoff basketball, being there is all that matters, so experience it live with Vivid Seats. Back here on the All NBA show, we go do this live 4 times a week, not always at 12:30 Eastern in the morning on Saturday.
I wish they were. This is my time, man. I wish all our shows were at this hour.
It's so true, man. I'm actually almost always up at this hour as well. This hour for sure, but even 12:30, I'm always up. I want to ask you,
people aren't going out on Friday night. They want to watch us.
That's what they do, man. This is a time well spent on a weekend. So I want to ask you about Giannis because, I mean, talk about a cursed sort of month for the Milwaukee Bucks. You get Dame back. You're already trailing in the series. You get Dame back. Season's already looking like it's going sideways, and then he tears his Achilles, which means he is almost certainly out for the entirety of next season. And that means that, in my opinion, there's nothing for the Bucks to do. I don't know if you can make a rational argument for the Milwaukee Bucks building a title contender with Damian Lillard's supermax contract on the books. So I look at that and I say, Giannis is 31 years old. The clock is ticking. Do you read the tea leaves like I do and say, I can't imagine next year, if he stays in Milwaukee, it not being a wasted season?
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, the thing is, Giannis, I don't think Giannis himself does not want to go to the Bucks and say, trade me. But the Bucks, look, next year, there's no way without Damian Lillard, and with Damian Lillard carrying a salary of nearly $60 million, they don't have control of their own first round pick till 2031. They don't have a pathway to build a contender around him at this point. But the rumbles that you always hear are that just having Giannis is so important to them financially, they're not going to trade him unless he pushes it. But look, this is the question that's being asked in every front office in the league. And it has not been fun for Bucks fans. I feel sorry for Bucks fans that this, you know, people are other teams are lusting after their guy, and this is, a constant discussion. But yeah, I mean, look, the whole league is on edge waiting to see, will Giannis's representatives go to the Bucks and say, it's time, move us, hold the auction, and start over. I don't think the Bucks want to do that. You could make the case that they should want to do that, that they should see, let's go out and get the largest haul we can get back for Giannis. But I don't think the Bucks are there. We're going to see where Giannis is. But, I mean, the anticipation around the league is already building. Like, there's no Kevin Durant, Zion Williamson. You can name other stars who teams are talking about, but there is no star that other teams are more curious. Can they make an offer? Will he be in play? No one more than Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I think we're gonna see. I mean, I like this. We're gonna be talking about this. We're gonna be talking about Giannis pretty much every time we get together in one of these all city sessions between now and the point they trade him, because it is the number one headline curiosity in the league.
How many teams do you think would try to throw their hat in the ring? Because some of this is, okay,
29,
who has assets,
29.
I mean,
Like,
realistically, though, because you're right that everybody would do their due diligence. But I mean, how many teams do you think would look at that and say, okay, it's worth our time to actually pursue this?
I mean, 5, 6, 7. Like, nobody's just going to say we got no shot. I mean,
right.
A lot of teams are going to try, and it would just depend on, again, the first step has to be someone initiates this, and to this point, it hasn't happened. So, is Giannis's side going to say it's time? I want to go somewhere, and then if that happens, the Bucks have to decide what they want, because the Bucks don't have their own picks. Would they prefer a trade return that has more guys who can play right now, because being bad doesn't do them any good,
Right.
unless, like Brooklyn is a team. Now, if Brooklyn gives them an array of picks, or OKC or San Antonio, I mean, do they want to go that route? So, I mean,
do you know off the top of your head who owns their picks? I could have James look this up while we're talking.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I couldn't do the whole 6-year run off the top of my head, but the first couple of years it's New Orleans, and then, of course, now I'm blanking. I mean,
okay, I'll have him find it.
I just know they don't have control of their own first till 2031. They gave up at least one of those to get Kuzma now at this trade deadline. They had to attach a first to Middleton. I believe that's 29. At least 2 of those are Drew Holiday. Were sent out in the Drew Holiday trade with a swap in there. And so, yeah, I mean, they've used basically all of their draft capital trying to put, and I don't criticize them for that, because if you look, like Jon Horst, the trades he made for Drew Holiday and for Damian Lillard, yes, they were very expensive, but they led to 1 championship and 2 Giannis Antetokounmpo contract extensions, which those are almost like championships too, because again, losing Giannis is it's devastating for that franchise. I don't know if you've been to Milwaukee, but like new arena, Deer District, the whole thing, like you get anywhere near the front door of Fiserv Forum, the whole thing is built around Giannis. And so they dread the idea of what's on the other side of that and starting over. I mean, look, they traded Kareem in 1975. They didn't win again until 2021. Like, right. So that's what they fear. And you can understand that. But yeah, I mean, the way you said it, reading the tea leaves, I mean, and it's terrible for Damian Lillard, who's a guy who's such a respected professional around the league, and just like look, I don't want to play doctor like I'm some medical expert, but I mean, he had the horrible blood clot situation and he came back from that so fast, trying to help this team do something. But sometimes bad things happen when you ramp up from not playing for 3 weeks to playoff intensity. I mean, the risk factor there is undeniable. So it's brutal. It's absolutely rough. And I wrote about this the other day, and it's like, as an outside observer, I feel like I can't answer this question. Only the Bucks themselves and Bucks fans can answer. Was it worth it? Was trading everything away that they've traded to get Drew Holiday and then get Damian Lillard, one championship? Can you live with that? I mean,
I think I can say this as somebody in Denver.
Yeah,
they had a
it's a good
championship in '79. It's just one is all you can really hope for. Then you get greedy, right? Then then everything resets. But to me, if you could rewind the time machine, if I was a Milwaukee fan and you said, "Hey, you're going to get one," I'd say, "Man, it's better than zero." Like, that's all you can do is throw your hat in the ring and hope that the ball bounces your way. Let me ask you this though about reading the tea leaves, because they just extended Horst. And what does that extension mean? Because sometimes when a guy gets extended, especially after a disappointing run, it sends a weird message. And to me, it almost sounds like we know what has to happen, and we're going to give support to the guy who has to make that deal. You don't bring someone in that could get fired. It's like, hey, we're giving you support because we know what you have to do here.
The timing definitely raised eyebrows all over the league because it happened in the middle of this playoff series. And
That's
one
right.
of the elements in kind of making the rounds is that Phoenix had a level of interest in Horst, and that helped speed this thing up for him to get it again in the middle of a first round series that the Bucks ended up losing. But I agree with your instinct. Like, Jon Horst had to know, if he's doing this deal, there's a real chance he's going to be point guard for a rebuild, because they just don't have. And again, I'm not criticizing him. Like, his mandate to this point was, we have to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo happy. We have to win a championship. And like, they did. Like, he traded a ton for Drew Holiday. Giannis immediately signed a new deal. They won in year one with Drew Holiday. They made the trade again. They sent Drew Holiday in the deal for Damian Lillard, and Giannis signed a contract extension again. Now, they haven't had the same level of success, but like, it cannot be fun to be that team in the crosshairs when, again, the Bucks have had to live with this for years, knowing that the league has been lusting after their guy and strategizing to be in position to make a trade offer for their guy. Like, so, I live in Dallas. The Mavericks didn't face that. Nobody thought the Mavericks would ever trade Luka Doncic. So it's like that lusting never happened because they traded him before the rest of the league even knew they had a shot at him. With Giannis, it's been year after year after year of this. I mean, how many times this season have you read the Nets' plan A is to go after Giannis Antetokounmpo? I mean, if I had a dime for every time that's been out there.
It sucks, to be honest. I hate this because it's always I'm a mid-market guy, I'm here in Denver. So I hate it because it's just really the way the league operates, where it's so hard when you're these non-glam markets to hold on to your guys and to build something. So I always hate it. It feels gross. But at the same time, the reality of Milwaukee's situation is I don't see them doing anything next year if they keep Giannis. And I don't know if I even see anything the year after that. They look like they're 3 years away from a true title contention, unless a miracle happens.
They have no pick. They have no picks and no youth. I mean, so it's like, it's tough.
What are you going to do? Let's move on to another one that's kind of tough, and that is LeBron James. He has a $52 million player option next year. He's made a lot of money in his career, but that's a hefty player option. But I also look at that Lakers team and I go, they have to rebuild around Luka. Luka gets over there. LeBron and Luka, there's a hope, okay, are they going to fit just perfectly? But they don't have a ton of flexibility. So is the plan to run it back with LeBron for another year? Is that LeBron's plan? Where do you see this all shaking out? And is there a world where you could see him playing next year, just not for the Lakers?
I think he's playing next year. I don't really have any doubt about that. I was at his post-game press conference Wednesday night, and of course, he says he's not sure. He's got to go away. He's got to talk it over with his family. Like, I think they're going to say, yeah, but like you said, player option 52 million, maybe we should exercise that. So, but it's interesting. ESPN had an article today kind of looking ahead to the Lakers' future, and LeBron had a quote in there that had a lot of realism in it. You know, he basically said, I know that this trade was for the future. It's not my job to try to convince Luka to resign. He sees it. LeBron is smarter than both of us. He sees it. And that's the thing that in the moment nobody in Lakerland wants to accept, because they didn't, they saw this team get to the number 3 seed, thought again, okay, we're small, but we have a puncher's chance. We have these 3 dynamic offensive creators. We can make a run in the playoffs, and they were so far short of that everybody's in shock. But even as bad as this first round series was, this was a ridiculously good year for the Los Angeles Lakers. As poorly as it ended, again, on January 31st, so 3-ish months ago, they didn't have a great future. They were a team scuffling just a few games over 500 and basically relying on a 40-year-old star next to AD, who was having injury issues even when they traded him. When LeBron and AD play at their peak, obviously they are a handful and they cause problems and they can do some level of damage, but that Laker team did not have a future. Trading for Luka Doncic is just like giving yourselves a future and a runway. Again, the Lakers have a future and a runway with Luka that they did not have as recently as February 1st. So it's not fun in the moment, but I think in general, they're feeling pretty damn good about themselves, knowing that they did the hardest part by trading for Luka. Now, look, I can't pretend that I know LeBron James's innermost thoughts, but like, he's not going to be easy to trade at 52 million. I don't see him leaving 52 million on the table and just taking a much lower salary to go to the team of his choice.
Yeah.
So, it's too early in the game really to give you a clear-cut answer on it. But I do think I would say at this point, it is more likely than not that we will see them that Luka and LeBron will be back together as Lakers next season. But it's, again, keep it on your list of questions, and we're going to come back to it, because we got a lot of shows, and there will be ups and downs on the Laker roller coaster as we try to figure out how they piece their team together.
Well, let me ask this one, because you were there and because you know Luka, you've been around him for a long time. Nico Harrison, whatever you think of the trade, has started the narrative now about Luka being out of shape and maybe can you win with him? And fair or not, that's now attached to Luka. He's going to be viewed through that lens anytime he comes up short. Now he comes up short in LA, more eyeballs on him. That narrative is the story. And then JJ Redick in his exit interview says, hey, we need to be in better shape next year. No, not saying any names, but we need to be in better shape. How do you think Luka is digesting his newfound sort of label? And not only coming from the outside, from media and, whatever else, but even being referenced by his own team. How do you think this sits with him?
Well, I think it's 2 separate things. I mean, look, the noise level when you're a Laker, and I think he knew that going in, but there's a difference between knowing it and experience it. And he's taking a lot of criticism. The team has no center.
Yeah.
And JJ Redick, I don't think, had a great series in terms of some of the decision making. So, like, if Luka's going to get the bulk of the blame when he was sick in one game and his back injury was right in front of me in game 5, like, he was playing the second half. Now, look, in the first half, there were defensive possessions that, like, before the injury that did not look good. And he's got to answer for that. And he's got to take the criticism for his defensive showing. I mean, his defensive showing, he knows he has to be better. But I think he was playing most of this series compromised. And again, I would like to see him playing with an actual center before we judge him. But look, this is when you are in Lakerland and you are a star, they're all getting criticism. It's not just 77. I mean, LeBron is hearing about how, hey, you're 2-12 in your last 14 playoff games. JJ Redick is now, his inexperience as a coach is another talking point. But my general feel too is I think the Lakers have been incredibly supportive, welcoming to Luka Doncic, and have stressed to him over and over and over again how giddy they are to have it. They know what they have there, and they know that they got Luka without giving up what they should have had to surrender to get him. So, I know there's this narrative now. Was Nico Harrison right? Oh my God. Look, if you're in the camp that says you think the Mavericks should have traded Luka Doncic, you might be able to make that argument. You'd have a much stronger argument if they got a lot more back. They just got so little back beyond Anthony Davis. Like Anthony Davis and 1 first and Max Christie, it's just not nearly enough. So, like, I mean, not even close.
Yeah,
So,
that's
so
that's the crazy
so
part. I'm not sure. We don't have to relitigate that. It's more that, fair or not, Nico has now stuck that label on him, and he's always had it a little bit. I mean, people have talked about the in shape and how serious is he, but now it's like the top. He wears it on his chest. He wears it on his forehead, and every time you lose, it's going to be you see all the videos. Look at him 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and that's just going to follow him. And I just am curious how he is going to handle that now, that it is the narrative he'll have to escape. And even his own team kind of bringing it up seems like a little bit of, okay, there's no running from this now. It's how people are going to talk about me anytime I lose.
I think he's a pretty tough kid and a pretty sharp kid. And like this trade, I mean, there's definitely been an adjustment period in this trade. I mean, this trade it's been hard on him, no question. And he's had to, like, this has been he's been thrown into a situation he never expected. But like, I just,
yeah, it's tough.
I'm so high on what his ceiling is, and
You watch it every day.
what he's already achieved in his career at the age he is. So it's like the noise is the noise, and he's got to deal with that. But like, I think he's going to bounce back in pretty resounding fashion next year. I guess that's how I'll put it.
There you go. Last thing we got. Gregg Popovich retires. He announces a retirement from coaching, although he is going to be stepping into a new role. What can you tell us about this new role that he's taking on? What will be his primary responsibilities?
Well, look, I think he's still going to have an incredibly loud voice there. And I think deep down, he really wanted to come back to coaching, and it's just he's made a lot of progress, but the grind, the physical challenges of an 82 game season, I think he just realized that the rehab isn't progressing as fast as he would like to get him back to get him back on the bench. And it was just the best thing was to make this decision now so the team can really move on. I mean, they played this whole season in limbo. Plus you've got the Wemby injury situation as well. So Gregg Popovich for the last 30 years, and I live in Dallas, but I've covered the Spurs a ton. I've had an up close seat for all 5 of their championships, the highs and lows in and around there. You think about that franchise: Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, R.C. Buford, Peter Holt Jr., any Spurs stakeholder. The only one who didn't give the lane to Pop and say, your way is the way, is Kawhi Leonard. But every other Spurs stakeholder, Pop's way is the way we'll proceed. And I still think he's going to have an incredibly loud voice behind the scenes. I mean, president of basketball operations, the titles don't really matter. I mean, Pop has always had the loudest voice there, again, for 30 years. And I don't really see that changing. That's the cachet that he's built there, winning 5 championships. And again, Tim Duncan basically said, this is your show and I'm going to do it your way. Like, he's had the support of every main player in the Alamo City over these 30 years. Really, Kawhi Leonard's the only one who didn't want to do it the Spurs way and ended up forcing his way out. But, I think Mitch Johnson is the new coach because Pop wanted him to be the new coach. Mitch Johnson coached this team 76 games this season. So, I don't know how much we're going to see him, but his voice will continue to be heard really loudly in San Antonio.
Well, it'll be interesting to see a new era. It's been 30 years. To your point, 29 years since we've seen anybody else at the helm. So it'll be a bit of an adjustment. I mean, we obviously saw it this year, but there's a formality to it that enters next season now with Wembanyama. And who knows? Maybe someone else. Maybe somebody else if they make a move this offseason.
That's like they are so – that's a – I don't know how much soccer you follow, but like for the last 5-6 years, this has been the question about San Antonio and before they got Wemby. How are they going to replace Gregg Popovich? The man is an institution. It's very much like Manchester United in England, who had Sir Alex Ferguson there for a similar amount of time, nearly 30 years. Now, at Manchester United, they are on their 6th full-time manager and 10 managers, including interims and caretakers, in the last decade plus. Now, so that's, on one hand, you hear that, and that is super daunting. But the difference is, as Pop now steps away, the Spurs roster is in such good shape. And that's what Manchester United didn't have. But like, you've got Wemby, you've got De'Aaron Fox, you've got Stephon Castle, who just won Rookie of the Year. And the Spurs, unlike the Bucks, have this array of picks coming up to go out. I mean, Giannis, KD, whoever you want to talk about, the Spurs can get in the mix for those guys in the next big trade fest. So as Gregg Popovich moves away from the bench for the first time since November of 96, a long, long time, since I was much younger and much skinnier, but they're in a great place with their team. And so Mitch Johnson, on one hand, is going to feel this pressure replacing Popovich, but he's already done it for 76 games. And again, this team is really set up to keep progressing and get up there with Golden State, with Oklahoma City, and just has a great outlook for its future.
Remind me, just as a fun anecdote, did you ever hear it? Because you follow European sports, from time to time. Panathinaikos, do you remember? I think it was in the 2000s when they went through like 20 coaches in 2 seasons or something like that. Do you remember this story? Do you remember hearing? I think Rick Pitino was one of the many guys who cycled through it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know about 20, but yeah, I mean, well, it's in Europe. Look, in European basketball, you were on if you're a coach in European basketball, you were on a 1-year deal. There's no Gregg Popovich is coaching for 29 seasons. That's not happening.
I remember when I heard this story, and I've forgotten if it was Panathinaikos or Olympiakos, but one of those I just remember had so many different ones each year because they would just cycle them in.
Someone is going to watch this and let us know. Don't worry.
Let me know in the comments below. That does it for us for this week. Mark, thanks so much for joining. Everybody, thanks for tuning in at the middle of the night, man. You never know when we're going to drop a new episode. But the playoffs are great, and we have 2 great Game 7s. Legs will be back with me on Monday to go over those 2 Game 7s and get us ready for the next round. So this is our last show of round 1, but we will be back for round 2. Hit that like button, everybody. We'll see you then.
All silly like the mayor.